Hey guys, good morning. Captain Doug here. I wanted to do a little video on throwing jigs. I throw a lot of jigs out on the bay. Been doing it for about 5 years now. It's my favorite way to fish them. Rod in hand is it's just fun part. It's the exciting part. Winding in a towel on a rod is only so much fun. Don't get me wrong. I like trolling. I love to see a board go back, but I also like to have a rod in my hand and feel that thump on the end. So anyway, some different jigs today. We did it last night. Went out before the storm. Got a number of fish. Casting at 40 feet of water with some big old jigs. When I say big old jigs, we're talking 1.5 ounce jigs right here. Here's a one, actually a 3/4 ounce. This happens to be one Lance Thump jigs for jigging the Detroit River, and this here I picked up at the dip net down there in Wyandotte. You guys know where that the dip net's that's pretty famous down there. Oh, Pound Town they call it down there. So anyway, these 1.5 ounces, these things get you to the bottom quick. I was out in 40 feet of water last night. I'm not going to waste time up in the top 10-15 feet of water if I'm not seeing fish there. These fish I'm marking are down on the bottom, dead on the bottom. And that's why a lot of times they won't come up and eat. They've already filled their belly maybe. And I don't know about you, but if I'm laying down in the family room, I've already eaten, and Mama brings down a piece of cheesecake, I'm gonna slide up and take a bite of it. So if something like this comes down through the family room, I may come and take a look at it, even if I'm full. So get it down their face, get it down their face fast. Guys talk about 1.5 ounces. Well, that's huge. Well, you know, it is, but here's a bandit, and they'll eat these all day long. So don't be afraid to throw these big ones. Like I said, gets it down the strike zone. You're not waiting for it to fall that 30-40 feet, whatever you're throwing out there. Color, I don't want to say color. Color's not a big, I'm not a big color guy. Yesterday I was throwing this color. Everything I had on yesterday was purple. It didn't matter. Just it was purple, purple, purple. Why? Because that's what I had tied on. I do want to talk about types. I'm going to grab these down here. I've got them down here on the seat. So this teardrop is up on top. I like throwing this when I'm casting them, not retrieving in open water, but bouncing along the bottom. So I throw them out, I let them hit the bottom, and I hop it back to the boat along the bottom. I'm not making big sweeps. I'm not making 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 foot pulls. I'm making 1 foot pulls, and if you notice the eye's up on top. It's not a casting jig, it's not out here on the nose, it's on top. I like this for hopping them along the bottom because when they come in and they hit, they're like this, and they sit back. They may even fall over. I don't care if they fall down. You're just mimicking a minnow, a dying minnow. And minnows fall over on their sides. If they're sick and they're dying or whatever, they're easy prey, they're gonna grab them. So I like it on top. When I pull this then towards the boat, and I pull by this eye here, I pull this eye, it tips it forward, so it sets up when I pull it, it comes like this. Come back around to here. When it comes in, it sits back. I jerk it towards the boat again, it stands up, comes back in, sits down. When it stands up, it might make a little cloud, a little something, but it's making something going on down there. All right, that's the difference between this and a casting jig. Here's one of Lance's casting jigs. Notice the eye comes off the front of it. So when you cast this, I like this in open water. If I'm fishing suspended fish, I'm going to throw this. I'm going to throw something with a paddle tail. Why do I want the paddle tail? I want a little bigger profile. It's going to slow the fall and keep that bait up in the strike zone on suspended fish. If I'm fishing fish on the bottom, I'm going to throw this one that's made more for jigging because it's going to pull that jig forward, make it stand up as it comes towards me. Why? Because the line's tied here. If it sits like this or if it's laying like this, it's going to pull that jig up to come a straight, let me get back here, a straight line from here to the rod versus like this. When I pull, it's just that there's that bend point. It's going to pull it up and pull it towards the boat. All right. That's why I use these two different heads and where I would use these two different heads at. When I started out, I've been doing this throwing them for about 5 years now up there. I used this. I used the Northland. This thing has caught a boatload of fish. I used the Northland. This is the watermelon or parrot head jig. It has glow on it. And then this is my 9 times out of 10. This is what's on all of my rods right here. This is a Berkeley Power minnow. It's a finesse minnow in the bleak color it's called. I can't find this color anymore in this minnow. Last time I found them, I bought 20 packs of them. And then I used the stinger hook on the bottom. Guys, you've got to use that stinger hook. You just do. They come up, they grab this, they're nipping. Remember, they're laying on the bottom. They're pretty much inactive fish, some of them are. And so when they grab that, the lightest part of it, it's going to pull that up in there. You can take this and stick it in here if you want. I prefer it to float loose. I prefer that to float loose. And then when you inhale that water, that's the lightest part. It's going to grab that. They're going to grab that tail. They're going to get it. A lot of the fish we caught, they've got that stinger hook right there in their mouth. All right. We did catch some the other day we were casting that actually were on the bottom of the jaw, right underneath the jaw here. And that tells me they were pinning this on the bottom as well. They were on the main hook, but they were pinning that thing on the bottom is what it was. So, all right. So anyway, a little bit about how we cast. I'll show you what I used, actually what I had on last night. There's a big antifreeze, 1.5 ounce teardrop right there. And then I had a Case Plastics purple back there. And then these are just some stinger hooks that I tie up that when you pull this tag end, you can take it off from there, change your color, do whatever you want, put it back on. So, and then pull your hook and that loop then tightens down on there and it can't come off. So this is one of them I was throwing last night. The other one I was throwing last night is this. Royal D, another Case Plastic split tail. All right. But like I said, when I'm throwing the bottom, I'm usually throwing a split tail. And when I'm fishing suspended fish, I'll throw a swim tail and then the old dreaded Rapala. This is the other one. If I'm watching fish on my electronics and I'm seeing fish come and they're not biting my jig as they come across, I have this hanging down there already. I'll keep this thing hanging about 2 feet off the bottom. When they come in and they haven't hit that, I'm going to grab this. How many of you fishing this in the wintertime? Jig them straight up and down under your hole, right? We do the same thing at the boat. Don't put them away just because the ice is gone. Fish don't read. They don't know it's ice season. They don't know they're not supposed to eat it. They eat these. I think of I don't know how many fish I had last night, but a number of them came on this when it came back to the boat. I could see my electronics underneath the boat. They'd follow it back, not hit. I had this already down there. I'd rip this up a couple times. They chase just like they do in the ice. It's just a cat and mouse game. So anyway, and you see I've got braid directly to it. They don't know what line is. Sometimes they are shy. On these two rods, I do have a fluorocarbon. But when they're chasing jigs and they're aggressive, or when they're chasing these because they didn't hit that, I don't think they're looking at the line a lot. At least I haven't got an email from any of them that told me that they were. So anyway, guys, go out there and have fun. There's a lot of water. There's a shitload of water. There's 60 miles of water out there, and guys are like, how do you go out and throw in 60 miles of water? It's just confidence. Go out and do it. Get confidence. You know you're going to catch fish. I'll put my 2 jigging rods up against 8 trolling rods most days of the week. All right? Why would I say that? Because I've seen it on the old boat. So anyway, guys, piece of tight lines, Captain Doug on Walleye Express. Have a great day.